I'm your host, Gail Davis, and I have my two besties here who are phenomenal women and phenomenal designers. I'm going to speak to Erika first. Say hello to Erika, everyone. Say hi, Erika.
Hello, everyone. Awesome to be here.
Yes, tell them a little bit about yourself, and then we'll jump over to Nicole.
Okay, so my name is Erika Ward. I'm an Atlanta-based interior designer and now showroom owner. And so we're located now in Fayetteville, Georgia. We specialize in helping busy professionals make their homes their sanctuaries. So we do everything from full turnkey renovation construction projects, and we are really heavy on decorating. That is my sweet spot, but we do it all. And we work with a lot of trades, anywhere from, any trade you would need to build a house, we work with them. And, doing a lot of decorating, we also work with a lot of finishing contractors. Case in point, like workrooms, drapery workrooms, people that make rugs, textiles, anything you could possibly think of that would go in the home. So I've got a lot of information that I'd love to share with everyone. And if you're taking other questions aside from Gail's, I'm all ears.
Perfect. Yay. And now for the fabulous Nicole White. Go ahead, my love. Tell them all about you.
Hey guys, my name is Nicole White Designs Interiors. I am in Florida, South Florida. And yeah, I've been doing this for 15 years in total, 10 years on my own. We are heavy on renovations. That is our sweet spot. So clients usually rely on us to renovate and then take them through to final installation. So yeah, I am pretty obsessed with the construction phase and the dust, and sort of love starting a project, getting in there and seeing the end, before it's been in the client's head for so long. We have the gift of going in, seeing through all the chaos and knowing what it will take to renovate it, to style it, and to bring it to make it magazine worthy. So that's been my passion. I was a journalist before I became a designer, so I have enjoyed just following my dream and helping homeowners who've been struggling with how to do this. How do I renovate and make it beautiful? I have been blessed to bring that to life for a lot of people. So that's who I am.
Yay. So thank you so much, ladies, for the introductions there. Your work is amazing. I am a big fan. Today's topic is contractors. Look at Nicole's face. So
like at happy hours, I could really just chill with a glass of wine, but carry on.
Okay. So let's talk about contractors and working with them in construction. So my first question is, what are some parameters you should set prior to working with a contractor? Are there ground rules for the designer-contractor relationship? Nicole, you go first.
What are some parameters? So a couple of things. I see homeowners who use the word contractor very loosely. And so I wanted to make sure we address that. A contractor is a general contractor who has a license and is able to pull permits and bring your renovation to life. Not every guy who can do something is a contractor. I'm always encouraging homeowners to not just say, oh, my contractor. No, maybe he's a all-around trades guy, but if he does not have that license, he's not a contractor. So that's very key to stop tossing that word around loosely. For designers, when you're doing projects, you're pulling permits, then you do need a GC, a licensed contractor. From that GC, he will have all his subcontractors under his license, and they're all on the permit process. So it's very important when you're starting those projects that you work with a GC who hopefully you're familiar with, and who understands your vision as a designer. And we'll get into that. When that doesn't happen, you have problems. GCs are not designers and designers are not GCs. So it's very important that everyone on the team plays their role and stays in the thing for a happy outcome. So I think there should be a meeting off the jump. How do we work? Who is in charge? Who is handling the client updates? If it's design related, do I need to copy the GC in May? Because it may be been a change order that he needs to be aware of. So I think a lot of meetings, we create, chats with the GCs, and have every number for their team, because you never know who you're going to need. So set the tone as to who's handling what in the project. And I think your life will be a little bit easier. Now, for me, it's a little tricky because when we're not doing a job that has a permit, we project manage. So we know a lot about the running of a renovation project. And I will say that does not always sit well with some GCs here, because how do you know so much and why are you telling me? But we know it. So it's very important to say to your GC, if you have that experience, that listen, I'm not coming in here green to this project. I understand what it takes. I know what this baseboard is. I know what caulking is. Don't try to run game, and then we can all get along. So if you have the experience, let them know you have the experience. So they're not talking down to you or over you, and they understand that you know the jargon of the business and that you're an ally. So I just think the conversation is key up front and right away.
Erika?
So prior to becoming an interior designer, I worked in construction, and so I worked as I managed the construction budgets, and in that, we had to walk with the superintendents and the project managers and be able to know what we're looking at in order to be able to approve payment. Okay. So when I go into a project with a client, I go in, the owner's
Yes.
Can you hear?
Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
There's a lot of chatter in the back we're hearing.
It's from here. I'm in the showroom. Sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So, so when I enter the relationship with the client, I'm not only the interior designer, I'm also the owner's representative as it relates to the construction project. Right. Okay. So all of my projects, I'm the one speaking on behalf of my clients. Right. And if they need to say something about the design or about the level of construction they're getting or anything, they talk to me. My general contractor, anything that he has concerns about, payment, all of that, he talks to me. So I have that to where the buck stops with me, right? Okay. The client talks to me, the general contractor talks to me. I communicate to the two of them. So they're not talking to each other, aside from good morning and thank you and that type of thing, right? Mm-hmm. And I find that relationship to be one where I can manage the client's expectations. I can manage the expectation of the general contractor. I make sure everybody gets paid what they're going to, what they're supposed to get paid and when they're supposed to get paid. Okay. It helps me to just really better keep control of the project. Mm-hmm. And also when you're working with the same general contractors, I have about 3 that we work with consistently. Each of them know what my expectations are as far as them interfacing with the client or interfacing with me. They know what my expectations are for quality. They know my expectations for cleaning up. That's a big one, right? Keeping the client's house clean and the workspace clean. I'm a big, you get an earful out of me if you don't clean up, because then I'm cleaning up, right? Yeah. Clean up behind my contractors. But getting back to the relationship, those are the parameters that we're setting in the very beginning. And the parameters as far as roles, responsibilities, communication, that type of thing. I think you had a 2-part question. What was the second part to the question?
Hold on, let me look. Are there ground rules for the designer-contractor relationship? And let me just throw this in there, because there's another part. What if a contractor doesn't have a project manager? Do you take control of that as a designer, and do you charge?
Yes, absolutely. Then I do that automatically. So
okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So again, this is so I can maintain control of my project because they are there because of me. Right. And if anything goes wrong, it's not the contractor, it's me. Right. Right. So with that said, I manage every single one of my projects. Period. Point blank. And as far as the, and it gets billed at my hourly rate. So my same rate that I bill for design-wise, I bill the exact same rate for project management. So before we even get engaged in work or sign a client on for the project, I have a roundabout idea of what that could be. Of course, there are a lot of unforeseen in construction and renovation, but I try to give clients a roundabout figure as to how long it's taken us historically to do a job of their size. And that would include design fees and project management fees. Because like I said, we're the project manager on every single one of the projects.
Okay, how do you feel about the project charging for being a PM, Nicole? I'm sure you do it, because nothing's free.
So let me circle back on that. On the parameters. Like Erika, 90% of the time, we are bringing the GC to the job. So the buck stops with us, and we carry the stress and the weight of the project, right, Erika?
Yeah.
Because if it doesn't work well, it's you brought the team.
Right.
So typically, you want to, and we'll get into how you build your team. So 90% of the time, that's the case. We do have projects, however, some new construction or where we come in only as a designer, and so that's when I said, when that happens, we have to get to know this GC who we're not familiar with. And that is the case where clients are talking to both, because they have hired the designer and the GC to build a team. That's not always the ideal situation, but we do work that way. We worked that way on a particular project recently, and it did not work well. The GC was just not, he would get nothing done. And it was not our guy. We just couldn't move anything with him. Everything was a no. So I'm very glasses half full, and he's very glasses half empty. And it literally came down to the wire where I was prepared to walk if there was not, we could not move forward. And he was let go. Obviously, when that happens and I brought in another GC, then the full pressure is on me. So I've been dealing with that. But yeah, typically we do project manage as well when we're bringing in the GC. And why is that? Because there's a lot of work in design. Managing the entire team, the budget, the back orders, the change orders, that is not just a design thing. You have to design a project, and then you have to see the project through. So we are hourly on that, or we are a percentage. It depends on, I have different variables. Erika is all hourly. It depends on the kind of job it is, and I will decide from that which way I'm going to charge. But yes, if you're not charging a PM fee, you're leaving some money on the table. If you are being called repeatedly and you're basically managing a project and you're not charging for it, you're just so obsessed with the design, then there's money being left somewhere. So you need to account for that as a part of your overall service.
Yeah, I don't know why anybody wouldn't want to charge for that. That's kind of leaving money on the table. It's also ridiculous if they're going to be contacting you. I know that you are going to be getting your license, your GC license. Are you working on that? Tell me. I'm putting you on blast.
No, please don't. It has been. Listen,
I'm sorry, Gail, can you hit mute on yours when you're not talking?
Sure.
Yeah, because we're hearing the.
Okay, I know. I'm like, go ahead.
Okay, thanks.
There you go. Yeah, I do need to get the license. I would literally need 20 more hours in the day, however, to study and get it done. So it's come up a lot because I've been doing this for so long and I know a lot, but literally with Xavier and so many projects, it literally went in my sleep. So if they're giving out GC licenses in your sleep, then sign me up. But I do want to. It's just literally strategically right now, the time has been the issue.
Erika, what about you?
Can you repeat the question?
I'm sorry, I just have someone, they're all here.
No, it's okay.
Different.
Oh, but it's great when you hit mute, but go ahead and repeat the question for me.
No, I was saying, what about you? Do you want to get your contractors, your GC license?
I don't have no desire for a GC license.
That's a whole other headache.
So I'm gonna tell you, here's my, I think everybody, well, you know what, construction is Nicole's sweet spot, right? So I do think when the time comes for Nicole, if that's what she wants to do, great. For me, no, not at all. But where my sweet spot lies, I believe, is of course like in the what I told you before, but then also relationships, right? So I come from the school of, um, you know, just you work with kind of who you trust, who you know, who you like, honestly, because again, these are high stress environments sometimes due to product, you know, constraints, time constraints, budget constraints. And then there's so many people on the job and so many people moving parts, right? So if one person doesn't show up for the job, then that affects our whole schedule, like the entire schedule that we started from the beginning changes completely. And
Yeah.
then, you know, and you don't have any control over weather or like, you know, this global pandemic now, who would have thought that this would be happening right now? But if you're with a team that you trust, people who you know, who share the same values, and I don't necessarily mean like belief system, but I mean values as far as people of high character, people who are willing to work with you. Like Nicole made the analogy about her contractor with the glass half empty, hers with the half full. I need somebody to tell me what we can do. And if we can't, how can we make this work? Because it's a collaborative effort. I don't know all the answers. My general contractor doesn't know all the answers, but between the two of us, we're working with the client in mind. Like we're both working to please the client, right?
Yeah.
Now, how do we make this work together? So I think that is the one of the most important things is being able to have that type of relationship. And I think it's no different than a friendship because eventually you guys become friends, you know, you spend so much time together and by default, you know, like some personal stuff about them and them about you. And so the other part to that is or even like I mean, it's, you know, you hear this whole phenomenon about work husbands and work wives. I mean, you're talking to your contractor all day long sometimes, right? And you have to, again, know, like, and respect whoever it is that you're working with, period. So that's why I've got 3. And if a client has somebody else they want to bring in, I'm really reluctant to take on the project again, because if I don't know that person, um, I mean, I'm just very reluctant to even sign up for that because of what Nicole said. It sometimes is disastrous and you're sitting there left holding the bag, so to speak, because your heart is in it and committing to getting it done, and you can sympathize with the client and you're still trying to help where the contractor that they may have hired is run off. Now, none of my people are going to run off. That's just not going to happen. Knock on wood. If I've got a desk right
Knock on wood, yeah.
Yeah, but they're not running off, you know, because of these people. Again, they know that I'm going to bring business to them. So, you know, why screw up one of my projects when you know you're lined up to receive the next one that I've got? So I hope that answers your question, Gail.
Okay, so how did you find your people? Was it trial and error, or was it they were referrals? Who wants to go?
Great question. Like Erika, so as I said, when we have these one-off contractor problems, it's usually not someone we brought to the team, right? Or it's not, we've not had a relationship. So the other 90% of our projects where we assemble the team, we've worked with that team for over 10 years. And as Erika said, those are guys, first of all, they were at my baby shower. When I was pregnant with Xavier, they brought stroller, like that, like they know me. If I'm not well, they're calling, not about work, but what is going on, what do you need? One of my electrical contractor dropped off like hand sanitizer and toilet paper at my front door when the pandemic started, because I couldn't find any. So you want people who care about you holistically, because they know you bring them so much business. And so how do you build that team? Over the years, I have found a couple ways. I have gotten great folks from clients. I've gone into a project, and I'm talking about the licensed trades, not necessarily the GC, right, Erika? I have gone to a project, saw a client's electrician, observed that he did, and that electrician has become mine for 10 years. So clients will give you, look who's doing some work for like good level work for some clients. Also, those trades who are good, they're going to associate with other good, respectful trades and other contractors. So it's like your friends. In Jamaica, we say, show me your friends. I tell you who your company or whatever. Like, so when you see that, I ask them, okay, do you have a guy for this? Do you have a guy for that? And so that our team has been built that way, where between the clients, between getting them from other contractors, other licensed trades, and they all understand. Now, everyone is not perfect, trust me. But for the most part, we have those with their strengths, and we have those who we have to constantly remind, like, okay, when I say 9 o'clock, I don't mean 9 o'clock Jamaican time. I mean 9 o'clock in America. So that is a South Florida challenge.
8:50. Right.
Yeah.
9
so
o'clock American time is 8:50. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, listen, this is South Florida, Caribbean, Latin American folks, and it's not, the way we function here. It is our biggest challenge. I will tell you, it is scheduling and time, because this environment, the attitude is, have a beer, relax, it will get done. And I'm not, I'm coming from corporate, and one of my friends reminded me, said, Nicole, these guys, they're not coming from a corporate mind. So when you tell them to be at the clients at 9, in their mind, that's any time that says 9 in it. So 9:55, right? So we've had to learn so now we say, our guys will be there between the hours of 9 to 10. Like we've got to, that saved us, because when we say a set time, it never happens. So again, that's how we've assembled a team. And ask around. If you see quality work being done on another job, ask who was a contractor. And I've been doing that a lot, because I'm trying to assemble more people on the team. We're super busy, and we need to push out and get more people. So I have been doing a lot of behind the scenes, just asking around and paying attention whenever I see a quality project in our neck of the woods.
Now, I know you said you have pain points. I'm sorry, go ahead, Erika.
Oh, no, go ahead.
No, I was saying, I know that, Nicole, you were saying that you have pain points with what's going on. And my question to both of you, how has COVID affected your business? I mean, I know both of you are super busy now, but did it like bring it to a screeching halt, or what happened with that? Oh, Nicole, that face.
No, I mean, Erika can take it first, but we did not come to a halt.
No, I didn't come to a screeching anything. But it was like, it just seemed like it just accelerated everything.
Yes.
Because again, my focus has always, what's drawn to me really are other professionals. And so when those people have been at home and who typically didn't have the time to reach out to schedule an appointment, to have a designer in their home, they were in their homes and didn't like what they saw. And so then they were reaching out, and I also make it super easy for anybody to go on my website and schedule some time to talk with me. And so that's what's been happening. And so then those also, the clients that I've had in the past are calling back to continue work in other areas, because again, they're at home, and they also know that from working with me before, they can just put their project on autopilot, because they know me, they know my results, they know they can trust me, they know it's going to get done, and it leaves their mind free to go do something else. So as far as it actually getting the work done, and because design is one thing, but actually getting the work done, getting the products in, getting the people in the home safely, because I think the biggest thing, and Nicole could probably speak to this too, is before COVID, we would all be in there on top of each other, right? So now we're having to create shifts, like work shifts. And that's typically what we didn't have to do, especially, if the home was of a certain size, we could all be there and it's no problem, but still just taking precautions. We can't have, we can't have any more than 3 to 4 people in the house at once, because 9 out of 10, the homeowner's there, their spouse is there, their kids are there, and depending upon how many people are already in their house, we might minimize it even more so. So it's taking more time, I would say, to get projects done because we're putting those precautions in place, so to speak. But it's also getting product in, we're having to check stock constantly. And, it's also been a thing as to, I have to decide whether or not I want to use our working capital to buy more product than we even need. So I can already have it in our warehouse and ready to install, because everybody, it seems they know that we're in a pandemic, but they don't act like it when it comes to delivery times. Everybody still wants it like yesterday. And having to be very honest, very upfront before even we start anything. Look, this is ideally how long it's taking, but right now it's taking even longer. And things change from day to day. I mean, it used to be from, hour by hour now, really. Just, checking stock and things. I mean, things, Nicole, like, what is it, pressure treated lumber? It's so hard to find, at least here in Atlanta right now. And if you don't have that, you got to have some alternatives, or you have to not break ground on the project until you have all the materials to get them to a point where you're not stuck with the house just open, right? And you can't close them back up, or they're living somewhere else, for months at a time because you can't finish their job because there are no materials. Like, you just have to be really smart about it.
Yeah. Gail, I will piggyback on that and say, no, we did not come to a halt at all. We only had one project cancel, and we weren't even under contract yet. It was supposed to be a consult. And right away when COVID hit, they said, well, we have to pause. But that was a one-off. We've gone, like Erika, everyone, our clientele is heavily professionals who don't have the time to figure out a design, much less how to execute it and get it renovated. So that's been our clientele, and a lot of out-of-town clients. They have a lot of second home clients as well. And so no, we have a wait list right now. It's that serious. From everyone being home and realizing this kitchen looks terrible. Like, my bedroom looks horrible. What am I doing? So we're happy to see that. But like Erika, we've had to set some huge and clarify expectations. Number one, we cannot, and we had a huge fallout with a project recently because of that. Like, we're in a pandemic and the client still expected the same pace, the same 20 guys on a site, and it just imploded. It just ended very badly. And so from that experience, I have changed my contracts now moving forward. Every project, if it was a 6-week project, it's now 10, 12. Just on the assumption that, one, we can't staff. I'm trying to have only one trade at a time at a job site. We have had trades test positive here. So we've had, and they're all fine, but we have to be mindful. We don't want them in jeopardy. We don't want the client in jeopardy. So we've had to have some serious talks with clients. Like, listen, before you give me that money, let's be very clear. You have to understand, we are going to work at a slower pace for your safety and for our safety. So I am not at job sites like I used to be. I have asthma, and I'm very mindful of what that would mean should I get this virus. So we're doing a lot of virtuals. I'm checking in with guys by FaceTime a lot. I will go, but I used to go to job sites. You guys would see me on Instagram like 10 times a day. Not anymore. Just, you can't. So now the contract says it's a longer time frame. We cannot guarantee anything will be in stock, because from that design, literally, we've seen this every day. A design gets approved, and by tomorrow, every item is gone. We literally had to send to a client yesterday, we're ordering this bar. We're not even ready, but we got to order these bar stools now because they will not be there, and you really want them. So we're asking clients to adjust this mentality of right away, I have to have it. That has to stop as a business practice in this design field. We've got to better educate clients on the timeline for design projects and renovations. It's never been TV. It's not overnight, and even more so now. It's taking longer. You need to accept it. There will be items out of stock. We can't control it. Remember, we're not getting shipments in, and so we're doing more work, and everyone is getting from the same pool. Do the math. It's not enough. It's not enough product. So if you love that blue chair, you may have to go with a light blue chair. Like, you have to open your mind as a client and not be yelling at your design team like, it's not our fault. Like, we don't want this, but you know, we're here. We're your ally. We're not the enemy who is like secretly plotting at everything going back order.
So with the advent of COVID and everything that's going on, has there been any particular change in your business, to your contract, to your business, or just the way you do things? Like you said, you had to pull back because of what's going on. You can't have 20 people in the house. You can't have people going in and out, and you have to be mindful of that. Are they understanding? Are they trying to work with you, or do you have to have a come to Jesus meeting all the time with them? Like, you have to remind them.
So as I said, we had a bad situation where it was, I didn't think I needed to have these talks, because I thought it was obvious globally that we're under a pandemic, right? But so you learn, you have to say things very clearly with clients. So we did not with that project, and it did not end well. Moving forward, I literally have the conversation at contract, and now we send a weekly update to a client, and we keep reminding, listen, Miami and Florida, we're like the epicenter right now. So we cannot play games with your health, with our health. And so if you're gonna enter into this renovation with us, you're going to have to respect the pace and make arrangements for that pace. If you were getting an Airbnb for 4 weeks, get it for 6 to 8 weeks. Cover yourself just in case this takes longer, because the pressure cannot be, we're trying to stay alive. My priority is to live, and then do your house. So I'm not gonna take the stress anymore. And we had to go through a really tough situation to really focus and say to each client moving forward, this is how we're gonna run during this pandemic. And if it cannot work for you, then we're not the team for you. And that's been the new posture for every new client.
Hey, Annie, go ahead. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, so we have one question from an attendee. When a client hires their own contractor and brings in a designer, and the contractor and designer don't know each other, and the contractor has no desire to know the designer, how do you handle that situation?
I think that's something that should be left up to the homeowner. I mean, because apparently the homeowner brought the designer in, the homeowner brought the general contractor in. And I think it's up to the homeowner, because they're the ones paying for this whole thing, to be able to communicate to that contractor that this is why my designer's here. She's here because you're not a designer, you're a contractor. Right. This person has the look, the aesthetic, the means to, you know, get whatever product it is that client wants. I think it's the responsibility of the client, though, to like bridge that gap and to be able to speak to her guy and communicate her desire or her value, right? And how she sees you as a designer, and what role you play in the process too. And then it's up to, you know, they have to make that decision as to whether they're gonna still use that contractor, because if he's not willing to work with me, then, and she can't express why I should be there, I know how to dodge a bullet. It doesn't take me to get burned. I don't need to stick around. I'm busy enough to do something else. You know what I mean? So, and that's not being arrogant or anything. That's just being real. Yeah. So I hope that answers that question.
Nicole, you want to chime in on that one?
Totally agree. If the homeowner or the client is bringing the team together, the onus is on the client to mediate. And we've had that situation. I'm not saying it always ends well, but it's their money, it's their home. And so once they hire us separately, there needs to be a clear directive as to, okay, you guys are my team, work together, inform me. But again, whenever I see contractors who don't get along with designers, number one, I just think they're not smart, because why would you not want to have a good relationship with a designer who's going to bring you more work? So when I see that, and I've experienced that, you just weren't the smartest cookie in the jar to be combative with a designer. Like, what is the point of that? When they're going to make your work look so good, you're going to get to say, you know, remember, we're there to the end, right? So the contractor usually just has the shell and he's done. But you can now, you know, ask us if they could share photos, or you'll be listed as a contractor on a huge, well-designed, styled project. So I never understand contractors who let their egos and their whole machismo get in the way of the end game. Focus on the end.
Right.
Have either one of you ever come in on a project after a designer has been fired? It doesn't seem that way to me. And how do you handle that? Because now the person who fired the designer, you have to be, you know, suspect of them.
I haven't, to my knowledge, Erika.
I have, and I kind of make it clear to the client, I don't need to know who that designer was, because I don't want to engage in any type of conversation with them about another designer. Because there's two sides to every story. And so before I accept the project, yeah, right. There's the designers and the truth, right?
Right.
And so just want to make sure I got that right. So I'm also interested in what is the problem, right? And how did you get here? And it helps me to understand what it takes to get the job done. And it also helps me to know how motivated the client is in getting the job done. I come in like taking command of the project and having a process in place, and I don't budge from that process because it works. It's been working. And if I've got a client, and I understand they're reluctant to allow me to take control because they've been burned or whatever the case may have been with the previous designer. But I find it comforting. I think people find it comforting that if you come to the table with a plan and also with references, it makes it a lot easier, I think, to finish off that job. It's not my preference to come behind another designer, because sometimes there's some things that are there that I wouldn't have wanted to use in the design. But it's not about me, really. It's about them, right? And getting them to the finish line. And it always translates into more work for us and referrals. So I think about what that means for the long term, you know, as opposed to just that, you know, that one project, so to speak, that was the job.
Okay, I have another question from an attendee. At what point in the design process do you bring on a contractor? Like, do you involve the contractor in your design process?
Well, you mean a general contractor? Well, it depends on the work that needs to be done, I believe. If there's anything structural involved, I definitely have both an architect and my general contractor there. If it's a small rental project where we're putting things back in the same place where they were before, and if it's something that doesn't require a permit, you know, we don't necessarily have to bring a general contractor in, because we know how to do those type of things, and we know how to manage the work crews, just as a general contractor would. So Nicole, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, the same. We will bring in obviously a GC and an architect if it's a full-on permit project where everything is about to change. Then there is no point in us just starting a design process. We have to assemble the team, client approves, and we're working in tandem. The one thing we hate to see is for us to get brought in after the architect has already been hired, because we've seen, I hope we're not frozen. Hello?
I think I'm frozen.
We've come into projects where the architect had already done his thing, and as a designers, we didn't think, you know, why was the laundry room by the front door? So we asked the client to always assemble, to hire us and the full team for any project that's going to be a full scale, top to bottom changing. Because the worst thing for us to see is we're brought in and the plans have been submitted, and there are things as a designer that we're like, why did you put that there? And you know, you don't want to get into a thing with an architect. So In the beginning, you need the full team if it's that scope. If, as Erika said, it's a renovation project where you're not moving too many parts and you can bring in your own team and get it done, then we design it first, it gets approved, and then we have our team price the project.
So just before we go, one last question with now that we have all been with what's going on, and now that, as I like to say, black is the new black, and they're reaching out to all the designers of color, how has that impacted your business and how has that impacted your following on Instagram? Because I know everybody's went through the roof.
Business-wise, you know, it's been the same. I've got a pretty diverse clientele, always have. As far as the following on Instagram, it definitely went through the roof. But I have a friend that says, stay ready, so you don't have to get ready. And being in business as long as we've always been present and on social media in some shape or form. And it was great to be able to have that new audience to see the work that we've done, to see our range, our capabilities, to even get to know us, right? So I think a lot of the audience, though, may not necessarily be potential clients. You know, it may be more other designers, design enthusiasts, as I call, you know, people just have an interest in design and decorating, editors, you know, other vendor partners or potential vendors. I think that's who is, you know, come aboard, so to speak. I do feel like, though, again, and I don't know if this relates to your question, but we've gotten a lot more traffic because people, for whatever reason, are like moving to Atlanta in droves. So you know, my site ranks really high on Google just because of the length of time that I've been in business and the consistency that I've created in updating my website and my blog and that type of thing. So we have got a really great influx of calls with people, with newcomers. And I'm excited about it for sure because, again, I love people at work. When I go home, I don't like people, except for the ones that are in my house. But at work, I love people, of meeting new folks, different design tastes, aesthetics, and that type of thing. And also, it's like, I feel like I become their Southern ambassador, so to speak, because they don't know anybody here, right? So I would love for their first introduction to their new home in Atlanta to be someone that helped them, someone that didn't take advantage of them, someone they're going to have a continuous relationship with. You get what I mean? So that goes back to me having a heart of like a servant leader, a heart of customer service, because we are in a service-based industry. That's what we do. And so anyway, that's what we do for clients. That's what we do for people who are aspiring designers, you know. That's what we do for people, other designers. You know, we help each other. I reach out to Nicole often and to some other designers. Gail and I have exchanges. And so again, I love the fact that we're able to have a broader range of people who have newfound interest in African American designers. Welcome. But I think at the end of the day, people see that we are more alike than we are different. So yeah.
I will say the same, Gail. Obviously, we also saw massive traffic on Instagram. I think in 1 week, I got 10,000 new followers, which was stunning because I can't respond to them on the DMs like I used to. You just mathematically, you can't. So I've welcomed the new audience. Just happy to see the quality work we've been putting out for years. Eric and other Black designers who I've known personally gotten the press attention, the social media attention that, you know, I felt like it should have. So welcomed it. I hope folks are here to stay. I hope they're learning our process. I am very engaged on Instagram. People are always shocked that I do respond to some DMs. So I think it's been a good thing. I just hope it's something that, you know, and I've said publicly, like, I don't want to be rounded up in articles just about being a Black designer. I am a designer who is very Black, but feature me for the work and the quality of the work, and the fact that we are a trustworthy firm. You know, clients hand us a lot of money as designers, and we take that very seriously. We've never had a problem, and that's a testament to who we are and how we do our business. So we appreciate the added attention, we welcome it, but we want folks to understand that we're a holistic. We're a whole. You know, I'm a mom. I'm a friend. I'm a daughter, just like you. I'm not that much different. You know, it's just I happen to tend to stay this color all the time. So see me for that. See me for a great designer, a great businesswoman who takes on her client's project like her own, and who respects every dollar they deposit into her account all the time. Now, do we always stay on budget? Not all the time, but it's never out of, you know, something crazy. It's usually the client's driving, oh, I want more. So, and that happens all the time. I'm always saying, hey, the budget, what are you doing? It's not in the budget. Why do you want that so expensive? So yeah, I've welcomed it, but I really, and I've said to all editors who've been calling us for features, when you're calling me, call me about the work. I will not be rounded up any further in any, let's look at these 10 Black.
Amen. Amen. So before we go, ladies, where can we find you? On Instagram and your website. Please give them your info.
Instagram, Nicole White Designs Interiors. Facebook, the same handle. Website, nwdinteriors.com. Just, you know, type in Nicole White, interior designer in South Florida, and I'm pretty sure you'll find me.
Yeah. So on Instagram, I am Mrs. Erika Ward. It's Erika with a K, not a C. And my website is erikaward.com. And I'm on all the social media channels. So Facebook is Mrs. Erika Ward. Twitter, I'm on Twitter too, Mrs. Erika Ward. Pinterest, same thing across the board. So that should make it pretty easy for everyone to find us.
Well, thank you, ladies, so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. I really appreciate this. And thank you, everyone who joined us.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, everybody.